welcome to EETF number 60, the Oscars preview. With me tonight, I have Nick Bamback. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me again, Patrick.
Not a problem. We also have back on the show, John Motford. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. You sound great, by the way.
And pithy.
Yeah, okay, so just to let you guys behind the curtain a little bit, we had some technical issues and we have to play catch up now, basically, before I throw this fucking thing out the window. Okay, with us tonight, we also have Hector Contreras. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Awesome. And back on the show after many episodes, it's good to have you back, sir. John Lamoreaux.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. And just so everyone knows, for the rest of the evening, John Mutford will be handsome John, and I will be ugly John. Just to clarify.
By request.
No, it's by natural selection or whatever it is that's who we are.
All right. Okay, so we will go quickly through the quote-unquote minor categories. I admit that many of those movies I haven't seen. Sorry about that. So let's jump right in and start with Best Visual Effects. We have The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible, and Napoleon. Guys?
I'll go real quick. I've only seen two of them, Godzilla and Mission Impossible, and I loved Mission Impossible. So I hope it wins. It deserves some things. The only thing I can think of, though, is that for visual effects, the Oscars love big historical dramas, even though apparently Napoleon's not very good. So that might be its olive branch, is to reward a movie like that, because that's what they like to do historically.
Hector?
Yeah, I have to say that it's going to be anyone's game in this one because they all visually look astounding. I don't know if it'll come down to how much money is on the screen. In Godzilla -1 was a $10 to $15 million project that looks gorgeous. It looks like there's 5 times the amount of budget on the screen. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, which was like a $250 million movie, that's another one where you see everything on the screen, and that has some of the best visual effects that I've ever seen. They put everything on there, but does the Academy favor one over the other? That's where the deciding factor, I think, is.
Because I think it's the only nomination Godzilla got, visual effects. So that might be the olive branch you mentioned, John, might be that as well. I don't have a prediction for that one. I've only seen Mission Impossible, so I couldn't say. Sorry.
I've seen all 5, but I'm going to go with Godzilla there just because I think rewarding a foreign film for visual effects is also sort of an olive branch, but I think the lure behind how little they spent and still made an amazing looking movie, I think that one's got it.
I've seen all but The Creator, and I'll probably watch The Creator later this week. I'm going to go with Godzilla -1 because I think they did the most with such little budget, like you said, Hector, but also the fact that I think that of all the movies, it's the one that kind of stood out to me in terms of the visual effects. But historically, they give it to like fantasy movies as of late, like Dune and the second Avatar movie and stuff like that. So it could easily be any of the other ones, but I'm pulling for Godzilla -1, one of the 10 best movies of last year, in my opinion.
Hope you guys are right. That was a fun movie.
It just also happens to be, I think, the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, 1954. So even if it doesn't win, I do imagine that they would put the Academy likes to recognize when there's like anniversaries. They do it for James Bond every time have the movie come out in accordance with with an anniversary. So I wouldn't imagine that they wouldn't do the same for Godzilla when they have all those in between awards. They have something on the screen that's recognizing an anniversary or the history of something. So, and then my daughter will be super excited and then go to bed.
Yes. Okay, so the next one is Best Costume Design. We have Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Guys?
I think Poor Things might be, I'm not going to say shoe-in, but it definitely feels like it would be in that because of how eccentric the costumes were. It's just very different. It's hard to say with Barbie. I think it might succeed in like more in production design, but it's tough. Killers of the Flower Moon doesn't make any leaps, and neither does Napoleon. Oppenheimer might be they might have to battle it out between Poor Things and Oppenheimer, but I think Poor Things might be the winner here.
I think Poor Things as well. I think Killers of the Flower Moon, if they maybe focus a bit on the costumes or for the Osage people, then maybe that might pull off some votes. But yeah, I think Poor Things as well.
I think you're probably right with Poor Things, and I hope it wins. The only other thing I can think of is, like I said, they like to reward historical dramas and that kind of thing in these sort of peripheral things, especially. And so if Oppenheimer runs the table, it could win. If Napoleon wants to get like a gimme or a charity Oscar in a way, then it might win this one. But I'm thinking Poor Things will probably pull it out.
I'm going with Poor Things as well. I think that it's the one that, like you said, is the most eccentric, but it's also the one that is the most distinctive of the nominees. And I just got a strong feeling it's Poor Things, if not probably Barbie.
I think I agree with you, Nick, and all you guys. I'd say Poor Things as well. My first impression from that list was Barbie, but thinking about it, maybe Poor Things deserves it a little bit more.
Yeah, the only thing that's setting Barbie back is that there are scenes where it just takes place in Los Angeles, and there's not really that much to go with there. Whereas Poor Things goes to other countries, and visually it looks gorgeous.
But Hector, is that Kenneth? Come on.
That's good point. Good point.
There you go. All right. So next category, we have Best Film Editing: Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things again. Nick, what do you think?
Easy. It's going to be Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Usually, historically, not always the case, but like 80 to 90% time, whatever wins edited usually wins picture. That's just a pretty, like, much one of the many Oscars that Oppenheimer's going to win. I like some of these other ones in terms of editing, like The Holdovers and Anatomy of a Fall, but this is all full stop. It's going to be Oppenheimer.
Maybe that's what they want us to think, but I think Oppenheimer is going to clean up.
I agree.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
There's certain years where one film just cleans up so many categories. Like remember when Return of the King made up for the other two movies and it just cleaned up all the Oscars. I've got a pretty good feeling about Oppenheimer sweeping.
I'm with you both that it's Oppenheimer. I think it's funny to see Killers of the Flower Moon because that needed an hour edited out of the film. But
confirmed. Wow.
I saw that in theaters and I had to strategically plan a bathroom break. And I was like thinking, I don't know. But it was funny.
I did not. I went right before the movie and I didn't bring a drink. So I stayed through the whole thing, but it was close. It was very close.
Yeah.
I disagree. I love Flower Moon just the way it was.
Me too.
And any opportunity to reward Thelma Schoonmaker for the fine work she does with Martin Scorsese is deserved, if you ask me. But Oppenheimer, that movie especially felt like kind of a 3-hour music video in a way. It never stopped moving. It was almost like a highlight reel or I don't know. It was constantly being edited. No shot lasted more than a few minutes. There was always music going on underneath. Mm-hmm. It never took a break, it felt like. So I feel like Oppenheimer is the easy pick on that one.
I agree. And the thing with Oppenheimer, too, is that when the way that they edit so that you get the perspective of Robert Downey Jr.'s character and Cillian Murphy's character, and sometimes that can be a little bit annoying if you are constantly being pulled back and forth in either direction. But in this one, it was more like a dance. It felt like you had two perspectives, and then the color change also helps because it makes you realize that you got one very colorful, vivid world in Oppenheimer's mind, and then you have the stark black and white, very historical looking, and I think it's Strauss is his character's name, and it works in my opinion. It works with the back and forth in the editing, and it never felt labored. It never felt tiresome. It was really strong.
All right, next one. Sorry, best cinematography. We have El Conde, Pillars of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer again, and Poor Things again. Ugly John, what do you think?
Ugly John, thank you. This one will probably go to Oppenheimer too. That's fine, of course. Probably, although I wouldn't, again, going back because it's Scorsese, because of the large vistas that it's kind of incorporating into Flower Moon, I wouldn't be surprised to see that one maybe take this one instead, just because of the grandiosity. Not that Oppenheimer isn't that way as well. But And I liked Maestro. I mean, my personal pick might be Maestro in this one, but it's probably another Oppenheimer.
I think Oppenheimer again. This is just seems like it's just going to do a full sweep or a near sweep. The only one that I think has a legit chance is probably Poor Things or Maestro. I'm going to save for later, but like I think that Poor Things is the only one that I think might upset it.
The way Lisbon looked in that movie,
Yeah.
it's mind blowing, you know?
Or from the boat, like.
Yeah, also that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you consider the like the boat and the other elements of that movie, it might be maybe more production design or, you know?
That's what I'm wondering too. The look of Poor Things is incredible. I'm not sure if that falls under cinematography or not.
Mhm.
It does.
I'm with John. I think it's Oppenheimer with a possible upset by Killers of the Flower Moon. I love the look of Poor Things. I'm with you. I don't know if it's production or cinematography. El Khan, actually, I don't know who else has seen that one here, but that was a great looking movie, though.
But
Nick is giving the thumbs down.
yeah, but black and white.
No, but there was also the business like where the vampires like flying over the valleys and stuff
Yeah.
like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, his movies don't do anything for me. Pablo Larraín, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
I don't really. He did Spencer. It's just.
Oh God! Oh, that's him. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with
But
you.
really quick back
Hector
though.
with a swing and
The
a miss.
cinematographer, that Edward Latchman, he was an alumni at my university. I've met him,
Oh,
and he worked with Todd Haynes a lot. So he did like Far From Heaven and Carol, and
And
he also did
May
Virgin
December.
Suicides. Like he's done a lot of great stuff. So I would root for him. But the movie, oh God, it was not good.
I fall in the middle. I didn't really love it or hate it. It felt like a Netflix movie to me. The cinematography didn't really stand out. I've seen films that are variations of that theme that looked better, but for me, it just kind of felt like I could take it or leave it.
so next one, best makeup and hairstyling: Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. I'm watching the list, and Poor Things maybe.
Yeah, it's got to be Poor Things.
No, I think it's Maestro because like in the last few years, the winners in that category were The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, even The Whale. These are movies where like people are transforming into like you don't even recognize who they are.
Yes, but there was other controversy of him playing it with the over accentuated Jewish nose. There was bad controversy there, and that's the most prominent makeup that you notice in the whole movie. So I think people will be afraid to vote for that one.
Mm.
Interesting.
I feel like his estate approved it, so I feel like they can't be too mad. I mean, you know what I mean?
I think they fell on his estate a lot, which we'll go into when we go into the other categories. But that felt very sanitized.
There's something else in that category that's really important is that usually historically too, like whoever wins best makeup and hair style usually wins an acting category. So like Brandon Fraser, The Whale, The Eyes of Tammy Faye was Jessica Chastain. So I feel like if we're gonna go with someone who is like a legit contender for an act, well, they're all legit contenders, but I think Maestro has got that one. The only other one is probably Poor Things, I guess. I don't know.
Helen Mirren as Golda was far better than Bradley Cooper as Maestro.
I started to watch Golda yesterday before we were supposed to record, and I had to stop it. But the makeup was excellent in that movie. Like
Yeah.
I was surprised.
I don't want to involve politics in this podcast, but I don't feel like seeing anything about the Israeli government heads of state right now.
Yeah.
So I'll pass on that movie for now.
I would probably lean more on Poor Things, but that's only because I think, yeah, that's a tough choice. It might be a flip coin between that and Maestro. There was a lot of marketing about and talk about the makeup for Bradley Cooper and for Carey Mulligan. As strong as that is, I think the way how interesting it was that they made some of the characters in Poor Things and Willem Dafoe's makeup, the makeup that went into the two ladies that are characters in that house, and for me is a coin flip between Maestro and Poor Things.
I think they might end up throwing it to Maestro only because I don't know how many awards it's going to win that night, and they often will give a movie like Maestro one kind of like the olive branch, like I was mentioning earlier. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
kind of, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one that they win, and it might be the only one that they win. deservedly
Possible.
so or not.
It's possible.
All right, so moving on to sound. The creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. All right. Okay, I'll start, and I would say The Zone of Interest in a landslide, personally.
Interesting.
I could see that. I don't think it's going to win, but if it were going to win one, this is the one that probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, I would also give it maybe best international feature.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
That's true.
I'm definitely with you on the sound.
It was a character in the movie.
Essential to the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting perspective. I was ready to just lock in Oppenheimer because the sound in seeing that in an IMAX screen, it blew my brains out. It was insane. But seeing Zone of Interest, I don't think it hindered it being, watching it on TV. It's harrowing, to say the least. To have that background in an Auschwitz camp and that be your soundtrack, it's risky. But it works on that level of fear to really predicate on that fear of these people nonchalantly living their lives while that soundtrack is going on. That is the main ploy to win that award, because really there's nothing else you're hearing besides that.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, it should go probably to something like The Zone of Interest, but I think the Oppenheimer, seeing it in IMAX, like you, Hector, was one of the best movie experiences I think I've ever had in my entire life. And the sound, like, it literally rumbles, and it's like you can feel the vibrations on your seats.
As the entire piece for the entire movie, I think it was stronger in The Zone of Interest, personally.
It was stronger, but this is Oppenheimer again.
Well, yeah.
I think Oppenheimer's going to take it.
This could be a case of should and will.
Yeah.
So I guess Zone of Interest would be my should, but Oppenheimer might get it, most likely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have Best Production Design. Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Who wants to start? Ugly John? Sorry.
Ugly John? Sure. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
I have to explain. Previously, before everything went to hell, we had to differentiate both Johns, and it turned out a joke like Handsome John and Ugly John stuck.
I've won with Ugly John. This one, I think, is going to come down to Barbie or Poor Things, probably. And I think it might end up going to Barbie. Just because, again, a movie that deserves a lot of attention, deserves Oscars. It's going to come in second a lot to Oppenheimer on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so give it this one. It deserves it. It's beautiful. It's bright. It's colorful. It's a whole new world. I just think this is the one that Barbie probably takes home.
100% behind John's comments on that one.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would go Barbie first and Poor Things second.
Yeah.
Personally.
I would too.
I just want to be the contrarian and say Napoleon. No, I'm kidding. No, wait, John's right. It's probably going to go to Barbie. I mean, they ran out of like a specific color of pink for this movie. So
Yeah.
Really?
just for that alone.
I didn't know that.
They ran
Okay.
out of, I forgot what specific type of pink, but you can't even get it anywhere. They used all of it for the Greta Gerwig movie.
Okay.
And it's perfect looking. It almost looked like it was done with AI, but it's all done with practical effects. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, next up we have Best Original Score, American Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Nick, I heard you react.
Yes, and if you want to check out on this category and the next one on song, listen to Rock in Retrospect. Patrick and Handsome and Ugly Johns have been on. Hector, we got to get you on at some point. On this, okay, I don't know what the hell John Williams is doing here.
Regurgitating the same score that he did for the last 4 movies.
That's what I heard.
Honestly, my heart on the episode I said I wanted Killers of the Flower Moon because it would be a posthumous win for Robbie Robertson, and I think it's the most interesting of the scores. I like American Fiction; that one's good, and Poor Things, but realistically, it's going to go to Oppenheimer. It's the bombastic, epic score that they tend to like, although it's not my favorite by a long shot.
I do agree, Killers of the Flower Moon, but I actually think it may just have a chance. I think it might be another situation where we reward that bombastic score. that works in some regard. They probably could have been toned down a little bit because sometimes you can't even hear the characters talking because the score is so deafening. But throughout the whole film, I think Killers of the Flower Moon just has a twinge more strength because it just captures such an essence that I haven't seen in any of the other films.
I'm with you all that between Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon, I would lean towards Robbie Robertson for that one.
Yeah.
Me too. And it's hard for me not to, my emotions, I'm sure, are playing a part of this because
Mine too, probably.
Yeah, I've loved Robbie Robertson for a long time. So I feel like he deserves it. I feel like it's his time. I wish he were still around to get it. I hope that the voters have that same sort of endearment to him as I feel. So I'm going Robbie on this one.
I hope you're right, John, because that would be my, like, if I was a voter, I would have voted for that too.
Me too.
So we can move on to Best Original Song. The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot. I'm Just Ken from Barbie. It Never Went Away from American Symphony. Wazaje, a song from My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. Apologies if I mispronounced that.
You kind of said it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a real joke on my show. We were like, are we saying it right? We don't know.
Okay. And What Was I Made For from Barbie. Nick, let's start with you on this one.
If you want to hear about some Diane Warren bashing, just head over to my show on that same episode.
I heard that part this morning.
Oh boy.
And all I'm going to say is Fester could make his appearance at the Oscars like we always wanted. Honestly, it's going to be one of the Barbie songs. This is kind of a weak year for song, honestly. It's going to go to Billie Eilish for What Was I Made For, probably, because I mean, the fact that Greta Gerwig and Margaret Robbie were snubbed in their categories, and it's a movie called Barbie, and the women were snubbed, they got to give it to someone who wrote their own song. And this is a beautiful song. Like, it plays a pivotal part in the movie at a key moment. I don't know. She's gonna make her second Oscar, which is like crazy. She's like 22 and she's gonna get a second Academy Award. Like, where were we when we were 22? If I was a voter, though, I would vote for I'm Just Ken. It's playful, it's fun. It was Ryan Gosling sings the holy hell out of it. It's such a blast to listen to, but it would feel weird to give I'm Just Ken over What Was I Made For.
If he does win for I'm Just Ken, I would love to see a second shot of Ryan Gosling looking puzzled. And because that works so well at the Globes.
I want to see his performance so bad. It's going to be bonkers.
Which network is it on, by the way?
ABC.
ABC, okay. All right.
What do you guys think about John Baptiste? Because he's cleaned up at the Grammys and stuff. So I don't know. What do you think that means? Anything?
He has an Oscar already.
Has anyone ever heard? I've never even heard of this movie.
Yeah, same.
American Symphony is on Netflix. That's about because it's in the aftermath of him leaving the Late Show, and he won his Grammys. But it's also about
so it's a thing on him. Okay,
yeah, but it's about his wife struggling with leukemia. It's very sad, but it's like it's not well made. Like because it was a front runner for documentary for like the longest time, and then it was released, and no, it didn't. But it was okay. It never went away. It's like a ballad. Like, it's the kind of nomination, like, he already has an Oscar because he won for Soul. He won with Trent Reznor.
Oh, so he did. You're right.
So he already has an Oscar for score. But, like, the thing is like, this seems like we're going to get someone who's popular and they're going to perform at the Oscars and they're going to get nominated again.
It probably is, Billy. You're right. Even though I'm also with you. I think I'm Just Ken is a better song.
I think it's more memorable.
Yeah.
I hope people don't just default to Billie Eilish and overlook Ken. I do want to say a plug for former Hustle guest Dan Wilson being nominated with John Baptiste for that song. But anyway, yeah, I hope it's Ken. I'm Just Ken. It deserves it. Plus, Gosling's not going to win, so let him have this moment.
Yeah.
He's not going to win for acting or for having written this song, but singing it and watching Mark Ronson and come up and take it or something, that's a nice moment.
But you know what, John? He's just Ken, but we're all just tens.
Well, you guys are. I'm ugly, John. So
No, even ugly John is a 10.
Okay, so we can move on to Best Live Action Short Film. Actually, I saw all of those. We have The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Who wants to start on this one?
I have nothing to add to any of the shorts.
So let me ask a Quick question. Did anyone see it in theaters? Like, you know, they do like the 5 shorts in a row. A lot of my friends do. It doesn't play here, but the only one that I've seen so far is The After because it's on Netflix, and the other one on Netflix, The Wonderful Story of Hungry Sugar. I mean,
Sugar.
Hungry Sugar, right?
Hangry.
No, Henry.
Oh,
I said hangry.
did I say hangry?
Yes, I think you did.
Oh, I'm not. Maybe I am hangry.
Eat a Snickers.
Yes.
You know, after I talk about Diane Warren, I think I do. No, it's gonna go to probably Wes Anderson. This is like the kind of he's the big name. He's been nominated for Best Director. He's been nominated for screenplay a few times. This seems like he might get his Oscar for this.
I know what you're saying, but I hope he doesn't win it because it's like the same Wes Anderson as always, but only shorter.
Which is why it's the only Wes Anderson I've liked.
It's in small doses.
Yeah.
There you
Small
go.
doses.
Honestly, he needs to do more short films in all seriousness, because I think that's more of his style. And I think the Roald Dahl adaptations he's done are actually pretty good. And I'm very lukewarm on Wes Anderson, by the way. Like, you all know this. Like,
Right.
Maybe I was expecting something different, but like, what did you think of The After?
oh my God, that was so bad. It's the one with David Aiello, right? Where he's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
oh, I can't spoil anything because in case people would see it, but like, it's just, it's interesting what it's trying to do, but it felt like it should have been a feature. I don't know how to explain it any other way without kind of giving away
I agree.
a plot. Like, it felt very rushed, and it felt like it's trying to do too much.
Yeah, I really liked it, but I agree with you. It felt rushed.
I liked it the very first time, but then the more I sat and thought about it, the more I thought that was really manipulative. Like
Mm-hmm.
it. So then I haven't liked it over time. The same way Hector was saying next year I might look back favorably on these movies. This is one that the more time that passes, the less I like it.
Yeah.
So Night of Fortune was
That's the only other
Danish.
one I saw. I saw
Okay.
Night of Fortune and Henry Sugar, and those are the only two I saw.
What did you think of Night of Fortune?
I thought it was fine.
Scandinavian humor.
Yeah, I enjoyed the camaraderie between the
Mhm.
two characters at the funeral home. It was nice, but it wasn't.
Memorable, yeah.
Yeah,
And as for Red, White, and Blue, maybe I should have seen the twist coming, but I didn't. And for me, it really worked. It was a punch. Did not see coming. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it should win, but Wes Anderson will probably win.
He's the name.
he's the name. Yeah.
And Invincible is from Quebec, actually. It was okay, but like I would be shocked if it won. Okay, so we can move on to Best Animated Short Film. I saw all of these as well. We have Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko.
I've never seen any of them, but I want to give one plug to the Hesses because they're my fellow Mormons, and Napoleon Dynamite is great. And so I hope they win, even though I've never seen any of those. That's all.
And they also did Nacho Libre.
I did see 95 Senses. I thought it was decent. I wouldn't say that it was again anything super memorable. It's all done in first person from the inmate. That's
No spoilers.
nope, no spoilers.
Okay.
Well, I'll say no more. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting little tale about what he did to get in there and what he's doing while he's incarcerated, and it's told very differently than anything I would have expected from that team. It just seems so quirky after the Napoleon Dynamite, and then that
Nacho Libre.
yeah.
I got 3 words for you guys. Tim Blake Nelson. He makes this whole movie. This is the only one I've seen because it's the only one that was online floating
Right.
around. I thought it was really beautiful. 95 Senses.
Honestly, that annoyed the shit out of me.
And
Yeah, sorry. So yeah,
I gotta support the Mormons because I feel, for John.
it was fine. I enjoyed it, but that accent really got on my nerves.
Yeah, the accent. I was gonna say the accent.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm really not
Oh.
emotionally invested at all. I just think it'd be fun if they won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree.
I was just gonna say these are also hard to find unless they have those like 5 film showings, like an hour and a half or 2 hours, because you can't find any of them anywhere.
Because it's just they don't have distribution, so they just
Right.
Mhm.
don't release them at all until they get distribution.
Unless they just throw on YouTube like some of the live action shorts.
Yeah, I think it was Pachyderm. One of them was available, but you had to purchase it for like $5 or $6. And
Oh God, for a short, screw that.
for a 7-minute short, yeah.
I think War is Over was made with the what's the name? Unreal Engine, like a 3D engine that
Oh.
they use for some games.
Video
Okay.
games,
Yeah, video, yes. And it was really good, but the thing is, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. Well, it's spoiler-ish, I guess, but it takes place during the First World War.
yeah. Hmm.
And the song is So This Is Christmas.
I think that's in the synopsis. I don't think it's a spoiler.
Okay.
I heard the needle drop is really bad. I didn't know the song, but
It ruins the entire thing. And
Really?
I shit you not. Yeah, okay, I am sick of that song in the first place. Okay, so let's make that clear. But that needle drop is so on the nose. I remember I saw it like, yesterday morning, I think, or something. And I said something out loud that I will not repeat here. It ruined the entire thing. And it pissed me off because it was so good until that point.
I hate when they do that.
The worst thing is, you remember when the First World War ended?
Mhm.
November 11. So that's
Yeah.
6 fucking weeks before Christmas. And you can do that needle drop there? Fuck you.
Okay, so I'm with Ugly Sean. I love
Jesus.
when Patrick curses. It gives
Yeah.
me life.
Fuck's sake. No, sorry. It pissed me off big time.
You
6
earned your
weeks.
explicit rated right there, sir.
I love it.
Christ. And
I love you, Patrick.
on that, yeah, thanks. Sorry. It really pissed me off.
Who do you think is winning
I can't wait to watch this now.
in that category?
It probably will be that one.
Really?
Okay, so this is what makes me a little mad about that for a sec, and then we'll move on, I guess, because I feel bad to say this. But I feel like that's such a grab because it's like it has John Lennon, Yoko Ono in the title, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that just seems like
It's pandering, yeah.
Yeah.
people are kind of stupid when they vote anyway.
Yeah, they were going to squeeze in that song no matter what, even if it took place like in July or something. They had the song, so they would use it no matter what. That's the feeling I get.
Interesting.
6 weeks, November 11th. The fuck?
Yeah. That's a stretch. Does
Yeah,
that sound like a
that's-
stretch?
Yeah, that's more than 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, US Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What?
Halloween is
Fuck.
closer.
Yeah, actually,
They
yes.
should have. They should have made it a horror
Well,
animated
yeah,
short.
the Halloween theme from John
Thriller.
Carpenter.
Because
Fuck me. Oh, Christ. Sorry.
Honestly, maybe it's just 95 cents is just because that's the most accessible one.
Pachyderm was my favorite, honestly.
Okay.
It was really good.
I saw the trailer and the animation looked gorgeous.
And it was like a simple story, but it worked so well, and the narration was fantastic, I thought.
Mhm.
So yeah, but yeah, honestly, that needle drop. Ugh. Okay, don't get me started again.
and there's a podcast about needle drops that I have, by the way, just to plug that.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
So okay, apologies for the language, everyone.
So offended.
Okay, moving on to best documentary feature film. We have Bobby Wine, The People's President. We have The Eternal Memory. We have Four Daughters. We have To Kill a Tiger and 20 Days in Mariupol. So, Ugly John, as an apology for my bad language, I will start with you.
Actually, I think I accidentally X'd out. Start with someone else on this one.
Okay. I really wanted to see 20 Days in Mariupol, but I thought it would be super depressing, so I wanted
it
to
is.
be in the right mood for it.
There is no right mood. It
Yeah.
is a real bummer.
That's the only one I've seen on this whole list.
It's good.
Yeah,
It-
I think so.
it's on YouTube, so
It's on PBS. If you go to PBS's website, because I think they're the ones that distributed it.
yeah.
Well, yeah, the problem is not access. The problem is my mood.
I don't think there's a right time to watch that movie.
There are less bad times, let's say.
Yeah, you don't go to Disney World and then go home and watch 20 Days in Mariupol.
Yeah, the zone of interest and 20 days.
Yeah, oh my God. Just
You should have watched it after war is over, just because there is a war going on. So the sheer irony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Paul McCartney will come in and sing Wonderful Christmas Time.
Yeah, and then slap you in the face.
I will say though, the only one that I've seen so far, because I'm going to catch up on some of the other ones, is Four Daughters. That was excellent. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like. So, have you seen the Thin Blue Line, the Errol Morris movie? Where they reenact the scenes. It's like that, and not to spoil anything, but it's very inventive, and I've never quite seen a documentary like that. And Eternal Memories on Paramount Plus here in the States. I'm going to watch it for my movie club actually tonight for our discussion tomorrow. I just haven't gotten around to a lot of the documentary features, but I think it's going to be 20 Days of Maripol because it's timely, it's political, and it has a message. It's probably the one to win.
I will say Bobby Wine, which is streaming here in Disney Plus, that might be a strong contender. I can't say it's better or worse than 20 Days of Maripol, but as far as completing an actual documentary, it felt like there was an actual third act where 20 Days of Maripol is a section of a bigger conflict. Bobby Wine actually tells a beginning and end structured tale, and it's not sanitized, but it's not exactly stark either, like some of the other ones here. It's got a very hopeful message in it. It's done in a manner where it feels like it's very accessible to many audiences, and that could be leading it to a strong contender for best documentary.
It is on Disney Plus, so I mean, to kind of add to that kind of makes it maybe a little bit more accessible. Who do you think is winning, Patrick, in this one?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of them, but just for the bigger picture, I would like 20 Days to win.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of them either, but they like to reward the political movies typically. And if it's about holocausts or something, people dying or whatever, that's the one usually. And so I wouldn't be surprised if it wins.
If it bleeds, it leads.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we have Best Documentary Short Film, The ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nai and Waipo. Apologies for any mispronunciation. I don't know anything about any of those, so I'll just shut up.
Me neither.
I saw all but the last one.
I saw all of them.
Okay.
I didn't see any.
I think this may just go just because of where it's located and the amount of marketing that went into it. Last Repair Shop is probably going to be the shoe in there. It's about a musical repair shop in Los Angeles, and even though it's not big budget, it looks nice. It was done with a lot of heart, and it's definitely made for that Oscar audience. It's just designed to that fashion.
Okay.
I thought there were some weaker ones for me. ABCs of Book Banning. I really wanted to like it because it touches on a very good subject, but it doesn't really lead anywhere. There's nothing groundbreaking about it.
I'm a librarian, and it was a horrid. It looked like a PowerPoint presentation. Like John,
Wow.
watch it. John, watch it for the horrors of the aesthetics. Oh my god!
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I disliked about it, is that all it is just books flashing on the screen with whether it's been restricted, banned, or challenged, and that's 98% of it.
It's not good.
It shouldn't have been a nominated for that alone. Barber of Little Rock is nice. A nice little story about someone who's just trying to help a community for disenfranchised individuals who need to get mortgages, need to get with banks and help get loans. It's a nice little story, but I think in this case, Last Repair Shop might be the big winner here.
While I would prefer Island in Between because it's a beautiful story about a filmmaker and his country, which is Taiwan. It's beautifully shot, by the way. Go watch if you haven't. Last Repair Shop hits all the right buttons for that category in terms of sentimentality, and it's very heartwarming look at the lives of these workers in a music repair shop. So yeah, that's going to easily, I think, take the cake in that category.
All right. Okay, so next up, Best Animated Feature, The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Universe, the Spider-Verse.
I think Elemental's kind of dumb. I'm going to give this one to the Heron movie because Mitsuyaki, or however you say his name, is a legend, and I don't think he has any Oscars. So
Yeah, he does.
This is probably he does.
He won the for Spirited Away.
Okay, well, whatever. I think this is going to be his last movie, and so why not give him another? That's my feeling.
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse seems like the most inventive, and the last one won, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
It did, but I don't think it did anything different than that one, and that's the only thing I think it might hold it back. I think The Boy and the Heron, it's definitely between those two. Elemental's garbage. Nimona
Hurt
wasn't
my
bad.
feelings. I'm kidding.
Nimona was a fine movie, but it wasn't. I was surprised it was even nominated. It's a fun movie that should have probably gotten a theatrical release. Damn Netflix, but maybe it's the animation behind the character who is shape-shifting, and it's interesting to watch.
I saw it yesterday. It was like a punk rock aesthetic, but it really didn't work for me as much as I wanted it to. It's between Boy and the Heron or Spider-Man. I don't even know which one.
All right, so next up we have Best International Feature Film. We have Io Capitano from Italy, Perfect Days from Japan, Society of the Snow from Spain, The Teacher's Lounge from Germany, and The Zone of Interest from the UK. Personally, my favorite here would be The Zone of Interest. I really hope it wins because it was, I think, a cut above the rest,
I can't imagine it not winning. I mean,
honestly.
Yeah, it's like
this
the only
is
one I've seen at
so
least, but
obvious. Yeah,
it's just so obviously gonna win.
yeah.
I'm going to throw in a curveball here. Yo Capitano was excellent. It was probably one of my top 3 favorite films on this list. It caught me off guard. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. It's an adventure tale. Adventure's a strong word, but I'm a sucker for movies that start one place and end up on the other side of the world. It's wonderful to look at. It's heartbreaking, but at the same time, so impacting and wonderful. And then it brings like the silver lining of hope. I'm just a kind of a sucker for those kinds of movies. So it worked for me on every level.
I really want to see Perfect Days, but it's like not anywhere. And it's Wim Wenders. I love Wim Wenders so much, but it feels like Zone of Interest, even though the other one that might have a chance is Society of the Snow.
That's the only 2 I've seen, but Zone of Interest will easily beat that one, I think. Can I ask a quick question about like the best pictures compared to this? Why there's 2 international films in the best pictures with past? Why are they not in this category?
I could answer it really quick because Justine Triet, who is the director of Anatomy of a Fall, refused to put that as France's entry because the Taste of Things was the selection because she is against the Macron government. So she did it as a sign of protest. Now, if Anatomy of a Fall was in this category, it probably would win.
Okay, what about Past Lives then?
I think it was because it was from the US and it's not international.
Yeah, American romantic drama, yeah.
I didn't realize. Oh, okay.
So a perfect example to that, Butford, just a really quick, Patrick, is remember the Diving Bell and the Butterfly, that movie from 15 years ago? That was a front runner, but because it was distributed by Miramax or Paramount or one of those studios, it couldn't be in contention because like at that time, the rules were it couldn't have been from an American company. So it disqualified it from being considered. So that's why Past Lives couldn't, even though it's mostly a foreign language film.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. All right, so we have 8 categories left.
Do it.
Okay, so next up, we have Best Original Screenplay. We have Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives. Nick, let's start with you.
I think it's between 3 movies. It's between Past Lives, Holdovers, and Anatomy of a Fall. Those are 3. Of the 3, I think the one that's been winning a lot in the screenplay categories is Anatomy of a Fall. That's the one that will probably win. Although, if I wanted to vote, it would be The Holdovers because I love that movie. But I think Anatomy of a Fall. And was that pithy enough, John?
That was really good, actually.
Yep,
yeah.
Yep, excellent.
I can be pithier because I'm just going to mostly agree with Nick that it's Anatomy of a Fall. And I did see all of these, and and it would also be my pick.
I actually think it's going to be Holdovers.
Okay. I do too. Anatomy of a Fall and Holdovers are my 2 favorite movies of all of these from last year, but I think Holdovers is going to take this one. It's just more of a literary type movie.
Okay, so that was perfect. Perfect speed.
There you go.
Awesome. I love
set
it.
the tone, Patrick.
Yep. Well done. All right, so next up we have Best Adapted Screenplay, American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Nick, you're doing great. Let's stay with you.
Okay, so really fast, Barbie was supposed to be original screenplay, and then it got moved over to adapted. So that was the controversy in this category. So I don't know if people realize that. That's important because it makes this category a lot harder. I think it's a toss-up between Barbie and Poor Things. I think it's one of those 2. If I had to guess, I think it's going to go to Poor Things. That's gotten a lot of momentum lately. But if I was a voter, I would say American Fiction was the most interesting of these in terms of its style and tone. And I like that the best, but I'm going to go Poor Things.
I'm going to say American Fiction on this one. This might be just what Lamoreaux was saying earlier about how we might want to throw a bone at someone that's not going to get anything further up the road. So I think that if anything, that American Fiction will pick up the adapted screenplay, and maybe lucky if it gets anything else.
Okay. John and John?
Fully agree with Hector on that one.
Yeah, I agree too. I disagree with Nick. I think it's between American Fiction and Barbie. This might be the one where they make good with Greta for having screwed her out of other things, which she deserved. And if she wins, that's great. But I think American Fiction deserves it. I think the Academy is making all the amends that they can within reason to make up for ignoring minorities and people of other races in these big categories over the decades and decades of the award. And if you have an opportunity to give an Oscar to someone who wrote a screenplay as great as Cord Jefferson did, you probably give it to him. But if it goes to Greta, that's fine too.
I still think it's Poor Things, though. I don't know why.
I think you're wrong. So just shut up.
Oh, you know what, John? You really are ugly.
Wow.
I figured I'd live up to the name. Yeah,
I still love you, John, by the way. You're great.
you too.
Next up, I mean, we are stuck in a douche caravan, so we have to get along, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we have Best Supporting Actor. We have Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. Nick?
3 words, and we could just end this. Robert Downey Jr. That's it.
Yep.
It's a legacy win, and he's won every award.
Yeah.
Give it to him. Let's move on.
Yeah, I
Mark
agree.
Ruffalo was very funny, but I will give it to Robert Downey Jr. in a heartbeat.
Oh, the wrong person was nominated. Willem Dafoe was a lot better, I think.
Wow.
Ooh, hot take.
I don't know. I wish this was going to Gosling. I feel like this is, in any other year, this would be the performance for him. But
Yeah.
you're right. It's probably a legacy award for RDJ.
I like him. I hope it is.
Okay, so next up, Best Supporting Actress, Emily Blunt, Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Nick?
Oh, this is a landslide. It's Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdover. She's won every award. She absolutely deserves it. It's the perfect supporting performance. She doesn't overstay her welcome. She's pivotal in the movie, if you've seen it, with the 2 male characters. It's one of the most unsung, heartbreaking performances I've seen all year. She deserves it. It's Divine Joy Randolph.
Yeah. She has the best line of all the movies of this year. Now, where there's a scene where she's at a party and she's manning the record player, and she goes, "Hey, someone put me in charge of being DJ." He goes, "Who was that?" And she goes, "I was." So
Nice.
Yeah, I would agree with you all that it's her as well.
I don't think anyone else stands a chance. Ask someone else to speak first, because Nick keeps stealing everybody's good lines, good
Well,
thoughts.
I'm trying to make it go faster, Ugly John, because you said we're pithy enough.
I mean, I have deep thoughts too.
You can't have it all both
know?
ways, Ugly John.
Anyway, I'm just kidding.
I love you, though, but I'm just trying to be funny.
Of course, I know. Of course.
All right, so next up we have Best Actor, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Ugly John, let's start with you.
Yes. The only one I haven't seen yet is Rustin, but some friends are coming over this weekend to watch it. I think Killian's going to win, although he wouldn't be my choice. I wish Bradley Cooper could take this one. I thought his performance was the strongest of all of them. I love Jeffrey Wright. He's deserved to be nominated many, many other times, but his performance in this one was not the thing that knocked it out for me. So, yeah, I'm going to go Killian, even though my heart would go to Bradley.
Bradley Cooper has been wanting this more than anything, and anyone has ever wanted anything. I mean, this is like the Red Ryder BB gun for Bradley Cooper. It's ridiculous how much he wants this Best Actor. Yes, he really does pour all his heart into it, albeit it's not the strongest script, but I think he does do a very timely, very nicely succinct, a good performance. He makes it feel like it's of that era when you watch black and white movies from the 40s. He's got that very same tone and mannerism. So he's got that very well down pat. I really wanted for Jeffrey Wright because I think he's another actor that just feels like he needs his comeuppance. But I think in this case, it may just go to Bradley.
So it's really weird. So Bradley Cooper was the favorite for most of the award season. And then when some of the major awards actually happened, Cillian Murphy was kind of winning a lot of them. But the one we're kind of forgetting is Paul Giamatti. He's been winning some awards as well, like Golden Globes and other award shows. So he could pull an upset, but I would kind of highly doubt it. It's going to be Cillian Murphy. A really good
Killian, not Cillian. Come on now, Nick.
Cillian,
you know a
or
lot
the
about
Killian. Oh, I'm
movies.
sorry, Killian.
Killian, come on now.
I'm sorry, Ugly John. We can't be as great as you. No,
Come on,
Killian. I'm
man.
sorry, Killian.
I think it's Killian as well. I think Bradley trying too hard for the Oscar screwed him over, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
his thirst trap for an Oscar. Like that's what Maestro felt like in many ways, like a thirst trap. Like he's
It's
just
ridiculous.
thirsty and hungry
Yeah.
for an Oscar. It's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like I love Bradley Cooper, but at the same time, it's also like, okay, have you done anything to earn an Oscar yet? No.
This one has Martin Scorsese involved, Steven Spielberg involved. It's like he put all the money in the world to this one thing just so that he could secure this Oscar nomination and get the award.
He should have went for director for this one, and really he should have went for actor for A Star Is Born from 5 years ago. That he probably could have maybe had a better chance, but like he's going for the wrong one, and this isn't his year, I don't think. Even though he is good in the movie, don't get me wrong, but it feels like it's
Probably.
Cillian Murphy's time.
I agree.
All right. So we also have Best Actress Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. Handsome John, let's start with you.
I would say this is the strongest group that they have for this whole thing.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Lily Gladstone's been winning a lot of awards, so it might be her. But like honestly, I would not be disappointed if any of these 5 women won.
100% agree. I think it's going to go to Lily, even though I do feel like her performance was more of a supporting role because she was sick for like half the movie.
That's fair. Yeah.
I wish she had been nominated in that one instead, but I do think they love to give awards to new, young, like Gwyneth Paltrow types, first big movies, first coming out, She deserves it, but any one of these women deserve it. I feel bad for Annette Bening. I feel like she's deserved it several other times, and she keeps losing to the young upstarts like a Lily Gladstone, and she'll probably still never get it, but she deserves one.
Yeah. I was never a fan of her, to be honest
Agreed.
with you, but I liked her in Naiad, and I think she's deserving to be here.
She deserved one for The Kids Are All Right. I think she was amazing in that movie.
I thought American Beauty was her best chance, personally. I think Emma Stone is Lily Gladstone's biggest competition here. And Emma Stone's been winning an equal amount of awards. It's a toss-up really between her and Lily Gladstone. I think if we want to look at it from like a historical POV, Lily Gladstone would be the first Native American winner in that category. And I think that that's like how they were saying about Michelle Yeoh winning last year for Everything Everywhere All at Once as the first Asian woman to win. That would be a precedent. And they like to toot their horn if they can make history with a win. So it'll probably be Lily Gladstone, but honestly, Emma Stone would be my personal pick. It's an outstanding performance. And
Absolutely.
I mean, I love her to death, but she just knocked it out of the park.
I agree. I think it's a little early to give her second Oscar already, but she did give the most daring performance of all of them.
So, okay, next up, I'll go with Best Director. We have Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. Best Director, Nick, let's go with you.
Oh, obviously it's going to be Christopher Nolan. This is his long overdue Oscar. He's been nominated multiple times, and this just continues the sweep that I think Oppenheimer's going to have. Some of these directors are great, like Yorgos Lanthimos. He'll want one eventually. Jonathan Glazer will make a movie in 10 years. He'll be nominated again because he doesn't really make too many movies. But if Scorsese has one, he's awesome. He's my number one. But yeah, it's Christopher Nolan's year.
I would love Jonathan Glazer to win, honestly, because I think, like, we've seen so many movies about the Holocaust, but I've never seen a movie about the Holocaust like this one,
Yeah.
Well, Jonathan will win the Best International Film, so he'll still get one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's deserving. It's probably the strongest one. That or Lanthimos' movie is a good one. But yeah, it's Nolan, 100%.
All right. So let's end with Best Picture, we have American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. All right. So let's go with Hector.
Oppenheimer, without question.
Oh yeah.
It's going to sweep, and ultimately it's going to take it.
Yep.
I really have nothing else to add.
Would it be the one you prefer to win? Is it your favorite?
Of the films for best that were nominated for Best Picture, I think so. I think it was. Yeah.
All right. Handsome John, what about you?
Yes, it's definitely going to be Oppenheimer. My personal favorite is Poor Things. And I mean, that's a style thing. I just think it's the most creative looking story, all of the above. But yeah, it's definitely going to be Oppenheimer.
All right. Ugly John, what about you?
Same. It's going to be Oppenheimer, although I think I mentioned earlier my two favorites were Anatomy of a Fall and Holdovers.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with either of those. Poor Things came in probably a close third. The only movie of all these that I didn't care for was Past Lives. And even that was okay. It just didn't knock me out. It was kind of boring overall.
Oh, thank you for saying that, because I feel like in my friend groups, they all think I'm crazy because I was a little bit more lukewarm on it.
It's one of those precious movies that artsy fartsy people like to pretend they love when it really is just boring and
Precious.
all get out. So
I think it would have worked better as a book than it would have as a feature film. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's Oppenheimer, for better or worse.
It's definitely going to be Oppenheimer. And I agree with John. My favorites were Anatomy of a Fall and Holdovers. And this movie almost made $1 billion. So even if we look at it from like a box office perspective, this helped like reinvigorate the box office, which is important because like Barbie, even if we go a year before, like Top Gun Maverick, we can make fun of it all we want, but that in many ways that helps save a lot of jobs and lives, and like that has to be taken account for, I think, or that's to be put into account.
I really like The Zone of Interest. So, but Poor Things. Okay, so let's say 1A, 1B, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, and number 3 would be Oppenheimer for me. But it's gonna win, and it's gonna clean up.
Yeah.
I saw 7 of the 10, and I like them all. But like American Fiction was good, but I don't know if it was Best Picture nominee good, personally.
It's the type that's nominated when there's more than 5. Like there's plenty of here, like Past
That's
Lives.
fair.
So let's take a few seconds. If it was back to the old days with only 5 titles, what would be on that list?
Oh, easy. It's going to be Oppenheimer. It's going to be Poor Things. It's going to be Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, and fuck it. They're probably going to go with Barbie.
Probably Barbie.
Not that easy, huh?
No, because I was looking at Anatomy of a Fall and I was like, okay, maybe that one. But those would probably be the 5, I would say.
Okay.
I think Maestro would get in for Holdovers.
I think Maestro. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it should. I just think it would get in there. Yeah.
No, I know, same. But Maestro
I always
is
think like a comedy.
Best Picture type.
Yeah.
They don't do comedy often enough. That's why I don't think Holdovers would make it. Maestro is a capital O Oscar movie. It's announcing itself as that's the whole reason for being.
Yeah. Yes.
In Nick's defense, the only reason why I think Holdovers might take precedence now, I think Alexander Payne set the standard after Sideways, and so those kind of almost not quirky, but those sophisticated comedies start to create their podium in the Best Picture category.
Absolutely, like Little Miss Sunshine, Juno.
Yes.
Movies like that, when there were 5 nominees.
Guys, I got to go, and I'm going to let you guys all say goodbye to each other and wrap up without me, okay? Thanks for including me in the conversation.
The Hustle Podcast, listen to it, guys.
The Hustle Podcast. Look, I'm more popular than all you guys. So if your listeners don't know where I am, that's their problem. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Thanks. Thank you, John.
All right. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
John.
Thanks for asking me to do this. Really, I appreciate it. Anytime.
No problem.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
All right.
Bye, John. Ever so modest, ugly John, right? I don't know. It's hard to say, though, if there were only 5 nominees, because personally, this is just my pet peeve personally. I think there should only be 5 nominees in Best Picture, but they use it for marketing because they could say like, oh, like American Fiction, or even I don't know why John's defended Maestro. I've never, like, I was at a movie club with 40 people and they all like bashed Maestro. But like, I mean, like, it's fine, but it's nothing. There's a lot of problems with it.
It's probably the weakest one for me. I'm honestly surprised that it made it on the Best Picture category. Performance-wise, sure, but in terms of anything else, it doesn't really do anything for me.
All right. So apologies if it felt rushed at times, and thank you guys for your patience. Most of all, I hope you guys enjoy the ceremony on Sunday, and I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. So where can we reach you online, Nick? Let's start with you.
So I am crazy because I have two podcasts now, so I'll plug both really fast. It's Rock and Retrospect, which I've had both Johns and Patrick on, and you can find me at Rock and Retro Pod on any social media platform. And then my new podcast, which is like a film podcast with my friend Jordan Racine. It's about music in movies. You find us at Needle Drops on pretty much any social media platform, or search for your favorite platform. So yeah, thank you, Patrick, again for letting me come back and talk about the Oscars.
Thank you. Hector, what about you?
I'm still on Twitter at Classic Hexagon. On Instagram, same thing, and on Threads, which basically an extension of Instagram. But yes, at Classic Hexagon.
All right. Thank you, Hector. John, what about you?
Instant Threads, just John Mudford, I think. I don't even know what my name is. Find me.
Isn't it the Mudford Man or something?
Oh, it is the Mudford Man. You're right. Yeah.
Handsome John Mudford Man.
Yeah, I think it's like the underscore Mudford underscore man, maybe, or something like that.
What he said.
Okay. Oh, I almost forgot. Hector, you had an Oscar pool going on?
Oh yeah. So, depending on when you listen to this, I'm gonna probably do the cutoff on Sunday noon Pacific time. But yes, if you want to get in on, I'm just gonna do $1, and if I can get enough people, I'll just do a gift card. And I'd like to just start it at $25. But if I get more people, then I'll do more. But we'll just set it at $25 for now. And winner takes all.
I'll put a link when I post the episode, a link to your tweet about it or something, so people can reach you if they want to jump in. Would that be okay?
Yeah, and then just send me a message, and I'll send you a ballot, and we'll take it from there.
Sounds good. All right. So thank you guys again.
Thank you.
And see you at the movies.